Hello everyone. Welcome to round 11 of 12 of ESRL. We are nearly at the end of the season already. Wow. Let me just get completely set up. So hungry, I need to eat after this. So I haven't eaten yet tonight. It's been pretty hectic. Share the link in the Discord. Okie dokie, it looks like we're about to get underway. I'm very much looking forward to this. Got a new driver today. Interested to see how they do. And Robinet's back after a couple of weeks off, which is great to see. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17 drivers today, which is very, very healthy indeed, as always. And we are underway. I'm just going to enable all of my stuff. There we go. Okie dokie. So we're here in Silverstone for the penultimate round of the ESRL Championship, Season 3, here in Division 1. I'm just going to make sure I have the standings up, because although the championship fighters no longer really in the balance, there's Ayrton has a 38-point lead over Nath Clark, who, well, there's no easy way to put it. He bottled it last week, and Ayrton has now opened out a massive lead. And in fact, Nath Clark may easily end up losing even second place in the championship. Because he is only 7 points ahead of Speed Alcoholic and 11 points away ahead of Avi. So could easily end up losing second place if he bottles it again, like he did last week. But we'll see. We'll see. Can Nath Clark return to the form that he showed at the start of the season? I wonder. We do have a new driver today by the name of Nikki312T. I'll just go with Nikki in the Alpine. So interested to see how they do today. I have heard they're very quick. So we will see. But hopefully they can make this an even more interesting race than I'm sure it will be. I'm going to go right on board with Rick, because he's going to take us on the first lap of Silverstone. He is a self-professed hater of this track. He is not like it around here, but he's going to start us off in a lap and nearly spin it out of the final corner. Very, very close to binning it straight away, but the Dutchman comes around turn 1, lifts off the throttle a bit, turned in a bit too late really, and now down towards turn 3. Going to be so late on the brakes down there, much later than you think, and towards the end of sector 1 now, down the straight towards, I believe this is Brooklands, and then it's Luffield. I think that's the right way round. But Rick, a 28-0 through the first sector, and he spun it out of Luffield. And he's going to have to wait for everyone else to go past him. So we'll run on board with Speed Alcoholic instead. In the Alpha Tauri, South African looking to set a good banker lap. in this qualifying session. He's looking good at the moment. Through sector 1, Magnussen Beckett, this is the key part of the lap. This is where you can gain or lose a huge amount of time. And speed looked okay through there. And now down towards Stowe corner. Got to be so committed here. You've really got to hit the apex to not lose time, and Speed hasn't done that. But I'm sure he won't have lost that much time. You don't lose that much by missing the apex, but you do lose a little bit. And now down through the final corner comes Speed Alcoholic. The 27.7 is the initial pace. That is a really good lap from Speed. Robin A is 1.6 behind. Amir 9/10 behind. Nikki only less than a tenth behind. So the rumours are true. Nikki is very, very quick. Avi 3/10 behind in P3. So Speed with a fantastic initial lap there. To set the pace. Zuba into P7. Surtac beats out Speed by 0.02 of a second up to provisional pole. Is that rain? It is rain! That's rain, so these first laps are crucial. Surtac on provisional pole at the moment, but it is raining. Is the rest of this qualifying session going to be null and void? Ayrton DTS and Trugster coming into the pits. Ayrton DTS has stayed in the pits. I don't know if it's going to get dry later on in the session, but if it doesn't, Ayrton DTS is in a bad spot. Rick as well with that spin. He has not done himself any favours. Ayrton is in the wet conditions. He is never going to get anywhere near that lap from Surtac. A 27.7. It's getting wetter all the time. He's not going to get anywhere near that. He might even be out of the top 5 here. DRS is disabled. That's how wet it is. Who's next to come across the line? It's a Mercedes who's already done a lap. Rick has already done a lap, but I think he might be going for another one. No, he's invalidated. Who is that? There's a Mercedes. There's is that the Toe? No, he's coming through Magnussen Beckett's. So I think Ayrton is going to be the next across the line, which is a real turn up for the books. And look how wet it is already. This could be a premature end to the qualifying session with 12 minutes to go. Ayrton coming around Stowe. He's trying his best to fight with the car, but it's just no use. It's too wet out there to get anywhere near that time from Surtac. Round the final corner comes the Ferrari driver. The championship leader is going to be 9th of 31.7, and I've just realised, in fact, that Nath Clark isn't even here. Is he? Did he say he was joining during quali? I don't remember. He said he was joining and he hasn't joined, so I don't know what's happened to him. So he's definitely going to lose that second spot in the championship. Womax is retired from the session. That's in the pit lane, of course. So it's all up to these drivers now at the back. Ayrton DTS has left it far, far too late. And that is critical, actually, for the relegation zone, because the bottom 3 drivers in ESRL, if you're not familiar with it, get relegated to Division 2 at the end of the season. And at the moment, it's a very, very close battle. Scott is on... Well, Ted is definitely getting relegated. He's on 11 points. Scott is next up. He's on 53. Zuba on 58. Ayrton DTS also on 58. Womax on 61. Vans on 62, so, and Vans isn't even here, so huge opportunity here for the rest of the drivers to make some places, well, to make some points on their relegation rivals. Zuba in P7 here after he got his lap in early. That was the key. And he's gonna out-qualify NER Ayrton, as is Scott. I'm sure they'll be delighted with that. But Zuba P7, Scott P8. Ayrton DTS is going to be all the way at the back. Ted's is also going to be at the back, of course. Vans isn't here. Womax is P11. So, very interesting scenes here in qualifying. I wonder if we're going to see everyone retire in the pit lane, because it's definitely not getting any drier out there. Maybe they'll go out for some practice. I don't know if it's going to be wet in the race. It could be. so they might go out for some practice. Surtak is doing just that, but it looks like Surtak Karatepe, Surtak Surtak is going to take his first ever ESRL pole position by 0.026 from Speed Alcoholic, and Nicky is going to be P3, and NER Ayrton, the championship leader, all the way down in P9 today. So it's looking like it's going to be a very, very interesting race indeed, with a lot of cars out of position thanks to the conditions. And, wow, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the race, but we've got 9 minutes to kill. And well, no one's going to go faster except the guys who haven't set a lap yet, which are Trugster, Ayrton DTS, Lostock, and Ted, but I don't know if they're actually going to go out and set laps. I wonder if Rick could go faster as well on the Inters. How much slower are they going to be? 13 seconds slower? I don't know. Maybe he could beat Aces, but it would be quite a stretch, I do think. Yeah, Trugster is setting a lap, so he's going to be, and yeah, Ted and Ayrton DTS both out on Inters as well, so those final few spots on the grid are still up for grabs between the guys who haven't set laps yet. Rick says he definitely cannot beat his lap despite the spin, thanks to the weather. Is it getting worse, Rick? Or is it going to stay Inters for the rest of the session? Also, what is the... oh, well, Trugster's just beaten your time, Rick. 12.3 seconds behind pole position. And Trugster into P13, so Rick could be vulnerable to lose more positions here. Okay, yeah, it is getting worse. Is it wet for the race? Or is it dry for the race? Rick is on an outlap, so he has decided, well, it's at least worth a try. I think it is. Ayrton DPS will be certainly looking to make up at least a couple of positions. None of these guys want to start at the back, of course. Lostock, oh, Ayrton DTS nearly going for a big spin there. The toe is on wets. Or, well, he's in the pit lane, so he's just seeing how much slower the Inters are compared to the wets now. It is definitely getting worse out there. Ayrton DTS is starting his lap, as is Ted. We'll keep an eye on the sector times. So, Trugster, well, I can't see on the telemetry, only gives me relative deltas after the first laps, so I can't actually see what the good sector times are in these conditions. The toe is on an outlap on the wet tyres, so he has decided to go for it and just have a look and see. And yeah, everyone just getting some practice out there on the Inters. By this, I assume that it is going to be wet in the race, because otherwise those guys at the front would be doing all this practice for nothing. Which, you know, I mean, it's certainly possible, but it does make me think there's a good possibility it will rain in the race. And DTS is going to set a lap. But his main rival is Ted, really, because Lostock doesn't look like he's coming out on track, and the weather is getting worse, so he's not going to beat them anyway. Ayrton DTS coming to the final chicane, and up towards the line. Got to be careful not to spin here, really easy to do in these conditions, especially with elite settings. And Ayrton DTS into P13, in fact. He beats Trugster, so a good lap from him. And these final few positions of the guys who haven't set laps yet. Ted is 8 tenths behind Rick. He stays at P16. Rick has invalidated. And he's into the wall! Is he out the session? No, he's not. He's still going. That car just about continuing on. I think he hit the wall side on, so he got very lucky there. Well, it could have been much worse for him. Zuber is retired in P7, which I'm sure he's delighted with. 4 minutes left of the session. Which has been a little bit of an anticlimax, but you know, that can happen sometimes with these conditions. Nath Clark has an update, that's why he hasn't joined yet. It's on 90%, and he's still got to copy it if he hasn't done already. No, he's in. Nath Clark is in. He's definitely not gonna light up the timing screens for obvious reasons, but he still might be able to get himself up a few positions if he can get out on track in time, but it's going to be close. There's 3.5 minutes left as Rick goes for another spin down there at turn 1. Yeah, well done indeed to Surtak. A fantastic lap from both of you. It takes a lot to set a decent lap when you know that it's your only chance and it's going to be wet later on. So both of you with fantastic efforts there, and Nikki as well in their first ESRL race, up to P3, and the two Mercedes 4 and 5. So good performance there. The Constructors' Championship, is that still up for grabs? Ferrari are 28 points clear, and at the moment they are sitting 9th and 12th, with AlphaTauri 2nd and 6th. So there is still a Constructors' Championship on the line here, perhaps. AlphaTauri still definitely with a chance. Now, Eniel Ayrton disqualified! Disqualified from the session! He must have... I know exactly what he's done. I know exactly what's happened there. Because the same thing happened to me. He's spun it at that corner, and then the game has thought that he's going backwards. Or he's just waited for other drivers to go past, and it's disqualified him. So our two championship, well, I say championship protagonists, Nath Clark is pretty much out of the championship battle now, but Ayrton will start from the back today. So even more drivers out of position after what has been a very turbulent qualifying session. Nath Clark is on an outlap. He will get a lap in, so he does have a chance to get himself, I think, past Ayrton DTS. I think Aces will be a step too far, but he can definitely get himself in the top 12 here if he manages to set a decent lap on these inters. That's the risk of coming out on track in these treacherous conditions. When you don't need to, sometimes stuff like that can happen. So Ayrton will be wishing he had stayed in the pits. It's a very big hit with the wall. Yeah, I know, Rick. I saw it. It was I was flabbergasted that you had no damage to your wing. But here comes Nath Clark. He's going to set his only lap of the session. Here he comes through the first few corners. Very tidy so far from Nath Clark. Just wants to set a lap, nearly spinning it there. But if he can set a lap, he will gain a few positions, or well, at least one position. So it's worth doing. And he nearly goes for a spin there at Brooklands as well. I think that's Brooklands. I'm sure that's Brooklands. Correct me if I'm wrong. I still don't know. I feel like every commentator knows all the Silverstone corner names except me. I'm not very good at remembering this stuff. Nate Clark through Mackinson Beckett now. Looking pretty tidy. And now through Chapel at the end. And here he comes. Down towards Stowe. Last chance for him to set a lap. Could get himself into the top 12 here. Trugster's gone faster actually, and Nath Clark nearly spinning out of Stowe. Just about keeps it on the track, but that will have lost him a lot of time. We've seen a lot of that from Nath Clark this season in these conditions. Just has a huge twitch and loses a huge amount of time. And across the line, and it's 14th, so he gained a couple of positions. 3 positions he gained actually there. Yeah, that moment out of Stowe will have cost him, I think, definitely a shot at the top 12. But that's a really good effort from Trugster to get himself into 12th against all the odds. But Lostock, P17, but NER Ayrton is the story of qualifying. He will start at the back after being disqualified. Still unclear exactly why, but I have my suspicions. Washed commentator. So there we go. After a fairly anticlimactic qualifying session, it is Sertak who takes his first ESRL pole. Great lap from the Turkish driver to beat Speed Alcoholic by just 26 thousandths of a second. Nicky will start in P3 in their first ESRL race, with Avi in P4. Amir and Robinet make up the third row, with Zuba in P7, Scott in P8, making the most of the changeable conditions. The Toe will start P9, Womax rounds out the top 10, and then Aces is the last of the drivers to set their best lap on softs, and then Trugster, Ayrton DTS, Nath Clark, Rick, sorry I retract my earlier comment, in 15th, Ted 16th, and Lostock 17th, didn't set a time, and then Ayrton, the championship leader, disqualified for parking in a dangerous location apparently, so he will start from the back. And we're about to get ready for what I'm sure is going to be a fantastic race in Silverstone. What's the weather like, I wonder? I believe the formation lap is on? Is it still off, or is it on now? I can't remember. I remember though. No, I think I'm thinking of another league. I think it is still off for ESRL, but we'll find out. We'll find out pretty quickly. It is dry. Off and dry. Okay, thank you, Rick. Here we go, about to get underway. Just take a quick swig of water. Make sure I don't completely lose my voice. And we're about to get underway. 5 red lights. And we're off for the British Grand Prix. It's Sertak with a good start, speed as well. It's a terrible start for Amir further back in the Mercedes. Sertak leads the race. A huge crash further back at turn 1. Massive accident. How is that not a safety car? I do not know. But we do have a virtual safety car at least, but a massive accident at turn 1. Amir is the main victim. He's out of the race. Nicky from P3 is down to 17th. Doesn't look like there's any damage on that Alpine. But wow, what a chaotic start to the race. Scott down to 15th as well. He'll be gutted. Ayrton all the way up to 10th. Nath Clark all the way up to 6th. Them both taking full advantage of the chaotic start. Trugster up to 5th. Zuba is 4th. Avi is up to P2. He jumped speed while I was focusing on the crash. Surtak, of course, still leads the race. Ayrton already up to P10. Rick as well up 6. So basically, anyone who wasn't involved in the crash gained a huge number of positions. Let's see, let's go to tyres. So everyone except the Toe, Ayrton and Aces, all starting the mediums. Those 3 starting on the hards. We are back to green flag racing. Rick putting pressure on the Toe as the VSC ends, but unable to make a move. Trying to George Russell him. Got Scott making moves further back on Womax. Who's that? Is that Womax into the pits? Okay, as well as Aces. So they must have damage. Who's that spun? That's Nicky that spun again, I think. And Scott's gone across the grass as well. And Nath Clark has spun. That is the Williams of Nath Clark all the way back down. He's bottled it once again. Down to 13th place. His rival, NER Ayrton, up to P9 now already. Nath Clark gets a 10-second time penalty, which is very harsh. As Rick now trying to get past the Toe, who's still on the hard tyres. Down goes the Alfa Romeo, down the inside. He's going to try and make the move through Brooklands and through Luffield. Now tries to go all the way around the outside now. The Toe shows him there, but Rick unable to make the move, and now he's vulnerable to the championship leader. But Ayrton backs out very sensibly. He knows he doesn't need to make any sort of silly moves. He's leading the championship by 38 points. The last thing he wants to do is crash out of the race with Speed Alcoholic in P3. But Rick still trying to get past the Toe, also looking to get past Ayrton DTS, who's very slow at the moment on those mediums in comparison to the drivers behind him. But of course, a lot of drivers out of position thanks to that qualifying session. Trugster trying to make a move on his teammate further up. Zuba is still running in P4 and pretty strongly as well. Has gained a lot of time on Ayrton DTS at the start here. Surtak sets the fastest lap. He is comfortably leading this race at the moment, and Avi, P2, has gained a lot of time on Speed, so Speed struggling in these early stages to keep up with the top 2. DRS should be enabled now. I think that was the notification that came up on screen. Rick still keeping Ayrton behind, as Ayrton nearly goes for it. Into turn 5. That would have been very risky. Sorry, that's turn 4, but Rick gets a huge snap, and that should see the Ferrari round the outside, or does it? Ayrton doesn't have quite the straight line speed, nearly tries to have the grip all the way around the outside despite the hard tyres. I think he's going to make it stick though. Rick trying to go for the switchback, but Ayrton having none of it. And the championship leader up to P8. Rick with another huge snap of oversteer, and could lose the position to Lostock, doesn't quite. But the Aston Martin up to P10. Is that Rick gone? Who was that? Someone went off. Oh, it was further back. Okay, I saw some grass come up on the camera and I thought someone had gone off where I was watching, but it was further back. I think it was Nath Clark going round again. Nicky with a 3-second time penalty already. Meanwhile, this DRS train still goes on. I'm keeping an eye on that gap at the front as well, because Avi's still within a second of Surtak, and Trugster right behind Zuba still. The two Red Bulls working together well, but Ayrton DTS has now caught them, so that initial pace from Zuba has not kept up as this race has gone on lap 4, and already those 2 seconds or so that these two had to the rest of the pack are gone. And Trugster still trying to find a way through his teammate at the moment. Zuba running very well. The Toe goes a bit wide and gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings already. We're only on lap 4, folks. The Toe still keeping Ayrton behind though. These two on the hards. Other than Womax, the only two to be on the hards. Amir! Yeah, what happened to you, man? I mean, well, I saw what happened, but what exactly happened from your perspective? And how did it all transpire? Because I only saw that suddenly everyone was off at turn 1. and you were out. So Trugster now gets a 3-second time penalty. They're coming thick and fast now. These multiple warnings penalties for track limits. Already on lap 4 we've got a lot of penalties on the grid. Trugster is finally going to make this move on his teammate. Up to P4 goes the Red Bull, and Zuber down to P5 and has now got to defend from his relegation rival of Ayrton DTS just behind. The Haas is going to look for a way through, and also keep an eye behind him as well, because Ayrton on those hards is still just behind, but clearly those hards really not working at the moment, because Ayrton unable to make too many inroads that we usually see him making at this stage. MX is commentating Division 2. Oh, brilliant. Got yellow flags. I think that's Scott that's gone round, or is it Ted? No, it's Scott, definitely. Ted is in P11, running well at the moment. Here comes Zuber back again on his teammate down the inside. He's going to make this move. Trugster's going to fight it though around the outside, and he keeps the position very nicely indeed. And now Ayrton tries to take advantage of the compromised line of the cars ahead. Here he goes. Is it going to be... Oh, that's Rick spinning round in the background. We've got to keep an eye on these two, because they're going Hamilton Verstappen into Copse. Here we go. Who's going to come out in front? It's going to be Ayrton. Takes the inside line. Ayrton DTS decides not to fight the championship leader too hard there. And the Ferrari already up to P6. Of course, profiting massively off the carnage that happened at turn 1, and now getting past Zuber very easily after a poor line from the Red Bull driver. And Ayrton into the top 5 within 5 laps. He started 18th, everyone. Surtak still leads this race though, by just over a second from Avi now. Speed, they're all sort of similar pace, but I do think Surtak is just about the faster driver at the moment, because that gap is steadily going up, whereas the gap between Avi and Speed is very volatile. Rick has retired in the pits. He has had enough of this track, and I don't blame him. Ayrton now trying to find his way past Trugster as soon as he can. I think this move is going to be made pretty quickly. The Ferrari is going to have the DRS. No DRS on the Red Bull. Ayrton into P4, and it's a 8-second gap to the top 3. There's not actually that much difference between the mediums and the hards. It's just the hards are worse for the first few laps, but then after that they're pretty similar for most of the stint. Yeah, I think by this point they're pretty much identical tyres. Not quite, but you know, there's not a lot of difference between them. So this is one of the few tracks where you can get away with the alternate strategy, and Ayrton has gone for it. Robinette slipped and hit me and broke my wheel. Oh, that's a shame. I feel for you, Amir. It's not been an easy season for you at all. But I'm sure you'll bounce back in Season 4. You are too good to be where you are in the championship this season. And I'm sure you'll bounce straight back again. You don't like this track. I wonder... Really, Rick, I didn't know that. Ayrton still 8 seconds behind. He's not made any inroads. His last lap a 31.4. Speed's last lap a 31.6. So he's not making too much progress at the moment. Of course, as the stint goes on, those hards will get better. Speed right behind Avi now, who's lost a lot of time to Surtak. So the race leader opening out his lead to 1.7 seconds. Avi's not going to have DRS. Could be an opportunity here for Speed. Robinette, by the way, down in P10 and Ace is in P15. So the constructors battle continues, although Ayrton already being up to P4 has kind of diluted it a little bit. And of course, Robinette being involved in that huge accident at the start. Speed, down the inside he goes, and it's done before the corner at Stowe, into second place. 2 seconds behind Surtak, who is comfortably leading this race at the moment. Last time we saw Surtak, he had an absolute nightmare. As that's Ayrton DTS that's gone round at Stowe. Very unfortunate, and that's very important in terms of the relegation battle for the Haas driver. Down to P12 he goes. It could be P13. Nath Clark is right behind. Not quite going to make the overtake yet, but perhaps only a matter of time. And Ayrton DTS, hugely important spin, and not in a good way. Losing a lot of points to his relegation rivals. Zuber still in P6, although Scott is still all the way down in P14. And Womax as well, all the way down in P16, so he's in danger of getting relegated as it stands as well. But Zuber is looking really, really good at the moment. And there we go, Nath Clark back up into P12. But still a long, long way to go for him. Yeah, this relegation battle looking very interesting. But Zuber, I have heard on the grapevine that Zuber is going to have to miss a race. Is going to have to miss the last race of the season. But I have no idea if there's any truth to that. Of course, only Zuber knows. But if that is true, he will want to score as highly as he can today. To put himself in as good a position as possible to not get relegated. These two still side by side, the Toe and Lostock, all the way through Stowe. Great racing between those two, but it's the Alpine who stays ahead on those hard tyres. Lostock has to back out and fight another lap. Trugster is staying on track with Ayrton, by the way. This is fantastic driving from the Red Bull. To keep with the championship leader. I know Ayrton's on hard tyres, but even so, this is great stuff from Trugster to stay within DRS at the moment. For comparison, his teammate has dropped 3 seconds back already. Although Zuber's still running fairly well, but is getting caught by the Toe fairly quickly at the moment. Gap coming all the way down. It's going to be within a second very shortly between 6th and 7th. And Lostock looking to get involved as well. Robinet quite a way back. Clearly the Frenchman not a big fan of this track, or maybe still got some leftover damage from that accident at the start, and is in danger of losing that 9th place because Nicky is right behind. The Alpine driver recovering really well after being also involved in that carnage at the start of the race. Trugster still right behind Ayrton, doing really well at the moment. And the Toe now within 1 second of Zuber. Zuber really struggling at the moment for pace in that Red Bull. I fear that he is going to plummet down the order as this race goes on. But you never know. You never know what can happen. Avi has lost a lot of time to speed in these last few laps as well. 1.6, 1.7 behind, and Ayrton is catching very quickly. Ayrton's last lap of 31.4, Avi's last lap of 32.2, so that's 0.8 in that last lap. And Ayrton looking to get a podium from the back of the grid today, and maybe even better. Funny how fate works, isn't it? If Ayrton had started from 9th place, like he would have done if he hadn't been disqualified, he probably would have been involved in that massive accident at the start, and might have been plummeted to the back and taken some damage, or even be out the race. Who knows? Of course, you can't say for sure, but it's interesting how fate plays out, isn't it, in these sorts of situations. The Toe not quite close enough to make a move, which surprises me, actually. Speed about 0.3 faster than Surtak on that last lap, so the South African definitely hasn't given up on this win. He won his first race of the season last week after a close battle with several drivers. namely NER Ayrton at the end. He and Speed had a fantastic battle in Monza in the last few laps. And it was Speed who came out on top just about. And he's looking maybe to get a second win on the bounce today. Aces is speeding in the pit lane. It's a 5-second penalty for him. And Avi is losing a lot of time now to the top two. The pace just not there for the Mercedes today. Trugster is still keeping with NER Ayrton. That DRS obviously helping, but it still takes a lot to stay within DRS of the championship leader. So Trugster doing an absolutely fantastic job in that Red Bull at the moment. And I think Avi is going to be caught by Ayrton. Definitely at some point. 5.7 is the gap. It's not going to be before the pit stops, as Surtak now comes in, the race leader, but the toe down the inside of Zuber. Here they go through Stowe, and I think Zuber is given that one up. He certainly has. Zuber down to P7, the toe up to P6. Surtak into the pits. A very, very, very long pit lane here in Silverstone, so he will drop all the way to the back. Puts on a set of the hard tyres, of course. And out he comes. Will he be in traffic? That's the question. We've got Ted and Nath Clark coming through now. Here they are. Coming through turn 1. Surtak just coming out the pits. Is he going to be ahead or behind Ayrton DTS? Just behind. So a bit of traffic in the way of the previous race leader. After his pit stop. He's looking to get the undercut on Speed, who I wonder, is he going to pit this lap as well to respond? Or is he going to leave it out? I know Speed is a very big proponent of the tyre saving in F1 games. He is a tyre magician at times, this man, and I wonder if he will come in and respond, or if he'll try and take those mediums as long as he can. Nath Clark has gotten up to P10, by the way, through tops. And Nicky trying to get past Robinette further up as well, but I'm just going to keep an eye on Speed, who does come into the pits. Avi follows him in as well. That was very close to speeding, it looked like. Ayrton, of course, going to stay out on those hard tyres and is now going to lead this race from the back of the grid. Ayrton now leads the British Grand Prix. Yet to pit, but he's going to be on those mediums at the end and is going to be have a pace advantage. Trugster also into the pits after his amazing first stint on those mediums. Ayrton TTS, a lot of drivers into the pits. The Haas driver getting a 5-second speeding penalty. We've got to watch the AlphaTauri. Where is he and where is Surtak? There is the Williams. He's out ahead of the AlphaTauri. Here is Surtak, but Speed has gained a lot of time, nearly a second, although he is going to have very cold tyres and he's going to lose that second again. And in fact, he's going to lose more time because he's going to spin. Speed Alcoholic has spun it at a crucial time on those cold, hard tyres. Really struggled to get them underway, and he spun it at turn 4. Disaster for the South African. He was looking fantastic for this race win, but that is going to cost him massively. He goes very deep as well, and now through Luffield he's got to make sure he doesn't spin it again. Very easy to do. He's kept it on track this time, but that is a huge amount of time lost, and Avi will not be able to believe his luck there, as Ayrton DTS gets passed by Womax, which is crucial for the relegation battle, because they're both on the same number of points coming into this race. So as it stands, Womax would jump the Haas driver out of the relegation zone. Nicky up to P3 as Zuber into the pits. Nath Clark also into the pits. When are the drivers who started on hards coming in? Ayrton and the Toe are the only two. When are they going to come in for their stops, I wonder? Surely in the next couple of laps, I would have thought. Zuber and Nath Clark coming in. Amir as well left the session, of course. Speed Alcoholic got a lot of work to do now, and I wonder where Ayrton is going to come out in relation to the AlphaTauri driver now, because there's certainly an argument to say that Ayrton might come out ahead of Speed here. He wasn't that far behind. Scott has, I think, made a move on Zuba there into P9, which again could be critical for the relegation battle. Zuba down to 10th place. And Surtak right behind Ted will be hoping not to lose too much time to the McLaren. I think we'll go for the move into Stowe just now. DRS open, big short shift to 7th there, and is he going to be close enough? Not quite into Stowe. Ted keeps that position. I believe the McLaren will be coming in. Yeah, he does. So Surtak released now into clean air, and the top two stay out for another lap. As does Nicky on those mediums. Is Scott coming in? We're about to find out. Ted losing positions thanks to the pit stop. Scott is now into the pits. Into the hard tyres he will go. And gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, just for good measure. And he will drop all the way to the back. May even drop behind Aces. So it's not been a good day at the office for Scott. After a turbulent qualifying session where he managed to get it into, I think he was P9 on the grid, maybe P8, but he got caught up in that incident at the start, and ever since then he's just been playing catch up, unfortunately, and he's could end up struggling not to get relegated this season. There's one race to go after this, of course, but Scott at the moment is not looking good in this battle to stay in Tier 1. Ayrton is into the pits. The Toe is into the pits. So here are the crucial pit stops. Where is the Ferrari going to come out? Speed is just coming up to Stowe now. Has made some inroads on Avi, but only about 7/10 in the last couple laps. Ayrton coming out of the pit lane now. Speed just coming through the final corner. Here is the Ferrari. Where is Speed gonna be? We're right on board with Speed. Where is the Ferrari? He set the fastest lap. Where is Ayrton? Can we see him coming out the pits? Yes, we can. There is the Ferrari. Ayrton out ahead of Speed Alcoholic, but he's going to be on cold medium tyres, and Speed is going to have a chance if he can stay with the Ferrari these first few corners. Ayrton with a huge snap of oversteer there on the exit of turn 5 as well, but managed to keep the car on the track, unlike Speed earlier on, and that's Scott going for a spin further back as well, just to add insult to injury. And Speed now right behind this Ferrari, but I think the chance is gone. I think those tyres are going to be warmed up now, just enough for Ayrton to stay ahead. But Speed is going to have the DRS towards Stowe. Nick Clark with a 3-second penalty further back. And here we go through Magnus and Beckett's. What can Speed do? Nicky also stays out on those mediums for yet another lap. And Speed, I think, is too far away. 5/10. That is not close enough to make a move into Stowe. Nowhere near. So that is game over in terms of staying ahead of Ayrton for Speed Alcoholic. And he is going to be furious at himself for that spin earlier on when he came out the pit lane. Because it may well have just lost him a podium as Trugster and the Toe go wheel to wheel through Stowe. Here they go, and the Toe, I think, has made that move. Trugster unable to hang it around the outside. And the Toe up to P6. Robinet also making a move on Lostock further back as the AlphaTauri driver gets himself into P8. Well, as it stands in terms of the constructors, AlphaTauri would be gaining 6 points on Ferrari, so the gap would be 22 points as it stands at the end of this race. I think it will be a few more if Ayrton does get himself on the podium, and he's right behind Avi already. Look at this. Avi really struggling for pace, and Ayrton down the inside. He's going to try it into Cops maybe. He backs out sensibly. No need to do it there, but this is allowing Speed to get involved as well, and these three going into Max and Beckett. Speed looking to go around the outside, but has to back out, and I think Avi could get swallowed up by two drivers here. The Mercedes driver really struggling on these hard tyres. Ayrton up to P3. It's a net P2 for him, but it's Speed Alcoholic who could get through as well. Avi loses 2 places in one straight. Speed goes for the move on Ayrton as well, but has to back out. Not quite close enough to really go for the send. And that should be Ayrton comfortably into a net P2. Nicky stays out again on those mediums. I think that he's going for medium soft, which isn't the ideal strat, but he's certainly going to have a very good claim to fastest lap on those soft tyres at the end. I think this is going to be a pretty easy second place for Ayrton, and he might even be able to catch Sertag. 8.8 seconds, there's 9 laps to go. And I certainly wouldn't put it past him. We've got another spinner. That's Aces further back, spinning it round. Womack's into the pits again. And Aces could be vulnerable to Scott here. So Scott might be able to get himself an extra point. But not quite able to get past as of yet. But Aces looking very vulnerable today, I have to say, in that Ferrari. And no! Scott's gone! Just as I say it, is he out the race? No, he's still in, but I wonder if he's got rear wing damage. He's got side pod damage, according to the telemetry. Into the pits he comes. Is he going to be retiring from the race? Yeah, he is, definitely. Speeding in the pit lane, and he is retiring from the race. No points for Scott today, and it looks like he is on a fast track to Division 2, unfortunately. Nicky into the pits, meanwhile, finally, he'll be going onto the soft tyres, I'm sure, in that Alpine. Ayrton setting the fastest lap, no surprise there. A 30.3. Soft tyres for Nicky it is, and a front wing change. Out the pits he comes. Where is Nicky going to come out, actually? Should be just coming out near Nath Clark. I think going to be behind the Nath Clark train, but on the soft tyres, so Nicky's race far from over. And they come out of the pit lane, and only 3.5 seconds behind Lostock. With 8 laps to go, Nicky can definitely get themselves a few more positions here before the end. Keeping on track with Speed at the moment. I don't think that Avi quite has the pace for this, and especially with those 3 seconds of time penalties. I assume it's 3 seconds. It is 3. So track limits penalty is going to cost Avi any chance at the podium at all, unless there's a huge mistake from one of the drivers ahead. Talking of track limits penalties, that's another one for the toe, which is going to drop him perhaps another couple of positions. Zubo is all the way down to P12 now after such a promising start, and Ted is P11. So it's a great race so far for Ted. He is all but relegated anyway. Only 11 points so far, but this will get him another 9 points, which I'm sure he'll be happy with. Oh, we have a bot spammer in the chat. Fantastic. I do not know how to ban people on mobile YouTube. Ted is down to P12, and I shouldn't have said anything. I really shouldn't have said anything. I'm so sorry, Ted. I have well and truly cursed the Northern Irishman there. Just said he was having a really good race, and then he spins it at the final corner and loses 2 positions. So, sorry about that, Ted. But he's still doing alright in P13 at the moment. Ace is in P14, so Ayrton P2, Speed P3, I think there's 2 points between second and third in ESRL, I think. So that means that there will be 4 points gained. 4 points gained for AlphaTauri today. I think, unless I'm wrong. It's something like that. It's not many, basically. it is not many. We've got Trugster right on the back of the toe as well, as Nicky gets past Lostock, and indeed, those 3 seconds came down very, very quickly indeed. And this could be a fastest lap from Nicky. It was a purple Sector 1, a purple Sector 2 as well. Aces has gone for another spin, so that's 1 point lost for Ferrari, as he loses the place to Womax, and another point gained for Womax in his relegation battle. That is the fastest lap from Nicky by quite some margin. And could well see themselves, well, definitely at least into the top 8. Whether they can catch Nath Clark and co, I'm not sure, but we'll find out. But a very unfortunate opening to Nicky's debut race in ESRL, but ever since then it's been a very solid recovery indeed from the Alpine driver. And looking to gain the place on Robinette sooner rather than later. Could do it into Cops. Is going to use the ERS to do it. Down the inside. It's going to be done before the corner. Robinette backs out. And Nicky up to P8. But with that penalty, has to find another 6 seconds. As Aces now retires. So no points for Ferrari in terms of Aces' position. Which is actually quite a big deal, because that's 5 points down the drain for Ferrari. As Aces throws in the towel, but you can't blame him. Robinette down the inside, hasn't given up yet. Can see that flashing red light on the back of the Alpine and knows that he's going to be faster on the straight. But Nicky on the brakes beats Robinette quite considerably into Vale and keeps that place for now. Although Robinette knows that he just needs to stay nearby and he will gain, well, 2 positions, because Nath Clark has 6 seconds as well, I believe. Let's find out. 13 seconds for Nath Clark, in fact, as Trugster's gone for a spin. Oh, that's such a shame. He was having a fantastic race, and the retired car of Aces nearly driving straight into him. But that is a huge shame for Trugster. He was driving very, very well up until then. So that's a place gained for Nicky, place gained for Robinette, and Lostock as well. And Nicky now right on the back of Nath Clark within DRS range, but a bit wide at Cops there. Got to be careful not to get any more penalties. Will gain the position on Nath Clark. I'm in fact going to just keep it on penalties. Nath Clark with 13 seconds going to plummet down. The toe is 5 seconds up the road with 6 second penalties, but I don't think Nicky's going to catch 5 seconds in 3 laps. I think that is, well, 4 laps. I think that is a little bit too far. Certainly looking for at least a 7th place finish. Robinette knows that all he needs to do to get 6th place is stay within 6 seconds of Nicky. Although that could well be easier said than done, because Robinette has not been enjoying this track today. Hasn't really had the pace that we usually see from the Frenchman. But that lack of penalties could pay dividends come the final lap, as Nicky nearly loses the car there on the exit of turn 4. That keeps it on the circuit. DRS open down towards Brooklands, not able to make the move. Not quite close enough, but did definitely have a think about it. And, this is the only battle on track at the moment. Surtat looking very confident, very clean, very composed at the front. Nath Clark another 3-second time penalty, up to 16 seconds. He is definitely going to plummet all the way down the order, and in fact he is indeed going to lose his 2nd place in the championship today. And in fact, he could go all the way down to 4th place in the championship, because Avi and Speed both running really well. Here comes Nicky down the inside, makes the move into Stowe. Nothing Nath Clark can do about it, unless he goes for another one round the outside of Vale. Gonna have the inside for the next corner, but doesn't keep his nose there, and has to concede. So Nicky up to P6, but Robinet just has to stay within 6 seconds to get 6th place here, which would be critical in terms of the constructors. Every point matters at this point, with aces out of the race. Every point could be very, very important for AlphaTauri. So Robinet needs to do everything he can to stay within that 6-second margin. He's doing it at the moment. It's about 2.2 with 3 laps to go. So he's just got to make sure he doesn't lose 4 seconds in 3 laps to the soft tyre runner of Nicky, which could be easier said than done. Robinet's last lap of 31.6, Nicky's last lap of 31 dead. So 6/10 lost on the last lap, but if that rate continues, Robinet will be comfortably in 6th place by the end, after the penalties are sorted. Nath Clark is within range, can see that flashing red light on the back of the Alpine, and knows that Nicky is going to be vulnerable in the straights. It's unusual to not see the flashing red light on the back of Nath Clark's car, because we usually see that in races. What helmet does Nicky have? Oh, default, 0 out of 10. Nath Clark staying in range. Robinet about 3 seconds back now, so lost about 5/10 in half a lap. I think should be fine. 3 seconds in 2 laps. I don't think Robinet is quite losing that much time to Nicky, sorry. Although did lose 1.2 seconds on the last lap, so maybe, to be honest, Robinet definitely not secured in that 6th place, so is definitely going to have to work for it. The gap is now 3.3 or so. So Robinet's still going to have to drive as quickly as possible, but not anymore. That's another 3-second penalty for Nicky, and Robinet can relax just a little bit. Still got to get there, of course, but I think Robinet should be comfortably in 6th place today. And if the tow continues going as slow as he is, Robinet could be on for 5th place here, which would be a huge result for AlphaTauri. At the moment, they're gaining, well, it will be at least sort of 10 points on Ferrari at least. I think that's how we're going. It's going to be 10, 11 or 12 points that they gain, so a pretty significant gain, and the gap going into the final race of the season between the two constructors is going to be around about 16 points or so. So if Aces has another shocker in Brazil and the two AlphaTauris do well, they could end up snatching the Constructors' title from Ferrari, so that battle certainly not over yet. Nath Clark right in the back of Nicky on this final lap, trying to make that move right on the back, pushing Nicky through Luffield. Those soft tyres clearly struggling at this point. Robinet is 4.2 behind, so should be comfortably P6 by the end. Nath Clark going to try and go for the move, but we've got to go on board with Surtak. He has been absolutely flawless today. The Williams driver takes his first ever ESRL victory. Well deserved. Fantastic drive from Surtak. Ayrton takes P2, Speed Alcoholic on the podium. Nath Clark and Nicky do swap positions on the run to Stowe. It's not going to matter at the end because of the penalties, but Nath Clark will be happy to get 6th place on track at least. Avi finishes a strong 4th place. The Toe a very strong 5th place as well. Nath Clark will plummet down. Nikki P6. Robin is going to finish P6 at the end after penalties are applied. Crucial result for AlphaTauri. As Nath Clark finishes 8th. Lostock 9th place in the end. Trugster 10th place, but it could have been so much more without that spin. Ayrton DTS P11. It's going to be P12 at the line, and that's crucial for a relegation battle. These two, a 2-point swing between them as they swap positions at the line, and Zuba nearly gets the jump on his teammate as well after penalties, and Ted is the final finisher. He finishes a race, 7 points to Ted, bringing him up to 18 in total. Nath Clark says it should be P7 after 10 seconds removed. Okay. Yeah, of course. You got the 10-second penalty at the start. I remember that now. Was it at the start? It was early on. But yeah, I remember that now. So yeah, Nath Clark will be P7 after that is removed. But still, Robin 6th place. Crucial points for AlphaTauri in that constructors fight. But it is Sertak who gets the win. A flawless drive from the Turkish driver. What a brilliant day for him. NER Ayrton in P2, the championship leader. I believe, yeah, that is it. That is. I wasn't even paying attention to the Drivers' Championship, but NER Ayrton is your ESRL Season 3 Drivers' World Champion. His 2nd title in ESRL. And what a season it's been. It started off terribly for him, but ever since then he has been flawless, and his rivals have made mistake after mistake, namely Nath Clark, and it is a fantastic champions title for NER Ayrton. Speed Alcoholic finished P3 in the end. He did get himself on the podium. Avi in P4. The Toe on P5 in P5. Robin finished in 6th for AlphaTauri, which is a crucial result for them. Nikki P7. Nath Clark should be P7 after penalties. Lostock in P9. Trugster rounds out the top 10. A disappointing day for him in the end. Zuba P11 did finish ahead of his relegation rival by a position after penalties were applied. Ted finishes the race in P13. Wumax a lap down in P14, but I don't think he was in the race. I think that was his AI, but I'm not sure. Aces versus Kings. Scott, Rick and Amir all unable to finish the race. Of course, Amir very unfortunate, getting caught up in that massive accident on lap 1. And Nikki takes home the fastest lap, of course. So that is your British Grand Prix. Driver of the day. The easy pick would be Ayrton, of course. And you know what? He's won his Drivers' Championship. I usually avoid giving Driver of the Day to Ayrton, but I think today he well and truly deserves it. Winning the Season 3 ESRL Championship and going from the back of the grid to 2nd place. What a drive to do it. And congratulations to Ayrton. I think that is all I have to say. So driver of the day goes to Ayrton. Sertak takes the race win, his first one in ESRL. Congratulations to him. Flawless drive today. And that will be that. So thank you everyone so much for watching. The relegation battle continues. Don't forget. Between those drivers at the back, it's Zuba, Ayrton DTS, as Scott has taken a huge hit in his hopes of staying in Division 1 for next season. Wumax as well. So that battle continues into next week. Well, no, Wumax was in the race. Wumax definitely finished, so it's still 6 points for him. But yeah, that relegation battle continues, and I cannot wait to see the final, well, the standings going into the final race of the season next week. We will be in Brazil, and it will be a cracker, I am sure. The Constructors is still up for grabs as well. Don't forget, AlphaTauri closing that gap by quite some margin to Ferrari today. So we'll see how it turns out. But for now, thank you everyone so much for watching. We'll see you next week for the final race of Season 3 of ESRL. We will be in Brazil, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.